Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today I'm bringing you a game called New Kingdom Gardeners. You're a gardener, a follower of the divine creator, the master gardener. Now this happens to be a prototype if you are interested in watching and following and backing this campaign on Kickstarter. Of course, there may well be some upgrades, some rules changes and other things which may differ from what I'm telling you here. So in this particular game, we are looking to get the most points, the most fruit, the most collected thorns, and ultimately be the most prolific person in this gardener. So we do represent different gardens. We're going to take out our respective boards, and I've got one ready to show you here. So here we are. This is our board here, representing somebody's garden. This is a 2 to 4 player game, about 30 minutes in duration. So what do we have? Well, in this game, we are going to play as various gardeners. So in this instance, I'm going to play as Sister Prudence, and I'll tell you what she does in a second. You're going to take yourself a player aid, and this can be double-sided as well. You're also going to have other things in here. You're going to have the Master Gardener. When this is drawn in the deck, it ultimately means everyone else is going to take one more turn until it comes back to the first player. Currently, the first player marker is just represented by this marker here. We have some miracle cards, so 3 of those, they're going to get shuffled into the deck. We also have our stack of cards, which have seeds, and we have fruit, we have workers, and what these workers do is they allow you to get more people out. So these allows you to take more action using doves. So let me shuffle this all together and show you how it works. So let me give you an example of what fruit represents. We have yellow cubes currently representing the fruit, and if you have purple ones, they represent 5 fruit. Now in particular, I very much like this colour combination. I have played an original prototype as well. So everybody is going to take 2 doves. Now I heard someone mention they look like seagulls, but that is the designer, and I personally didn't notice. I think they look very nice, and these do even stand up, or some of them do. I've got them stamped. There we go. So you are currently having 2 each. Everyone's going to take 2 doves, and they can go and be activating an ability, and then they'll fly back at the end of a round. Basically, you're recalling your doves. You're also going to have some cards each. You're going to take 5 each. So let me just shuffle up the deck and show you how it works. Take your thorn cards. So these can represent things like the 7 deadly sins, wrath, fear. We've got stubbornness in here. Chuck them all together. Chuck in your miracle cards as well. Should a miracle card be drawn, you can place it in somebody else's tableau, and if you do that, that can be good for them. It also can be negative. It can be good because it can give them fruit, so points at the end is represented up here, but it could be negative because it's stopping them from getting more workers out. So any cards which basically have your gardener, they go off to one side. Player aids do not get shuffled in, and this master gardener we're going to move into the deck in 1 second. So we have other workers like the monk. So should we get a monk out, it basically lets you take an additional type of action. There are 4 types of actions you can play. We have plant, prune, pray, and appoint. Lots of the P's going on there. So you're going to shuffle up the deck, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, you're going to take out half the deck if you're playing as a 2, as an example. You can play the whole deck if you're playing as a 4, and a fewer cards between 2 and 3 players, 2 to 4 players if you're playing as a 3. So imagine this is half the deck. We then count out 9 cards. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Take the Master Gardener card, shuffle that in, again, so we don't know exactly when the end game is going to occur. Put that to the bottom of the deck, and then also we would have taken 5 cards per player. So here we go again, basing half our deck. We've got 5 cards. If you have more than 2 thorn cards, you're going to discard and draw again. And in this instance, we've got a hand of cards. So we have no thorns, which is a great start. I can place out some workers here. So for example, a reaper, you can discard a seed from your garden to collect, or hand to collect its fruit. So maybe I want to play out this. Okay, so let's look at my actions. You play as many doves as you can in any open space. So my first action here is I played the dove here because I can now appoint. I can place a worker in any garden. So I choose to play in my garden. Why? Because it's in my hand. That limits me to what I can be doing. I could have played a plant action. So these are plants. I can play these out instead, play a seed. I could have prayed to draw more cards, or I could have pruned, which basically would have collected some of these fruit potentially. So right now I've done this. So I've still got my dove left, which is great. Otherwise, if I didn't have any workers, I couldn't have taken an extra action on my first round. So right now I could discard a seed from your garden or hand to collect its fruit. So maybe I don't want to do that. So instead, maybe I want to have played a manager. Because here, again, I can use the dove action to take a plant or an appoint action. Well, I could bring out another worker in this instance, which might be good. Instead of this, though, maybe I want to do something different. So thinking about this, maybe I want to plant from your hand into any garden next to a gardener. So let's try bringing out that then. So I'm now taking the plant action, just alternate what I'm doing and bring out this. Again, you're going to draw a card and recall your people. So you're going to draw a card up, recall your doves. It's the next player's turn. Imagine it's come around to me again, and I've now drawn up my cards. So I've drawn a card and I can go again. So let's say it's my turn again. Let's try the prey action. So I'm going to draw 2 cards from the deck. Let me just show you where the cards are here. 1, 2. Got some more plants. Great. So let's see what I want to do. Well, for now, let's bring out that other worker. Let's do the appoint action down here. And we've already, did the appoint action, and we chose to, of course, play the prey action to draw 2 cards. So again, these are going to come back, and I'm going to draw 1 card. So let's have a look at this card. Happens to be a monk. So again, let's bring out another worker by playing the appoint action, and take a prey or prune actions. Let's do this. Let's just take another 2 more cards. 1, 2. Now this is a great example because this is a thorn. So this is a thorn because it's of this dark shape. We've got sloth, we've got pride here. So this is going to be played. It's going to be placed into your garden, and it must play immediately into your garden. So that's not good. You do not want these here. Now, you can pay a prune action, so you need to have accumulated 2 fruit. I'll get onto that in a second, but I can do that and discard it. However, if I happen to do it in somebody else's garden, this is why the theme is so important in this game. If you happen to discard in somebody else's garden, then you're going to get 3 victory points at the end. So that's very important if you can do this, because you're getting more points if you can collect it at the end of the game. So if you happen to prune it here, you get 2 victory points, but you'll get 3 if you discard it from somebody else's. Why discard it from somebody else's garden? More space in your garden. More space in your garden for seeds, which becomes fruit, which are more victory points. So let's crack on. So we still have another one of these, so it still needs to come out as well. And I believe you generally bring in your thorns immediately to the left, but I believe you can change that around again. Your rules might change as well. So that's what we've done, and I believe now it's the end of our turn, so we bring these guys back, and we take an extra card. Now, you'll start seeing I've got 3 different workers out here. You can get more of the same type, and if you do, there are some team bonuses. So if you happen to have, and this is the back of the player aid, so if you happen to, in this instance, get more of, let's say, the manager or anything, 0 with 1 of them, you get no extra bonus, but with 2, you're going to get 2 fruit. And if you have 3, you're going to get 3 fruit or a dove. With 4, you're going to get 4 fruit or a dove. So you've got different options, but if you play them in somebody else's garden, you're going to get better bonuses. So there is altruism here, and I do like the way the altruism actually reflects in this game in this respect. So I don't know if we had drawn up, we do have an extra card in our hand. So now in this instance, we lose this card. Now the way turn order works in this game is the person to your counterclockwise or anti-clockwise position goes next. I say counterclockwise because it's an American game. So this is going to go to the person's garden to your right. But after you finished your turn, the person to your right goes next, which means they now benefit from whatever you've just given them, which might well be a thorn. So in this instance, this could have fruit on it, and it's going to go to the next person. Now, we need all pass cards across, and this is an action, which is something that happens in the game, and it's something to be aware of. It's called the creeping effect. And it does mean you can lose some cards, which is why you may want to have a gap, so you don't actually end up shunting some good stuff to somebody else. Equally, shunting a thorn across might not be bad, because if you can prune it, you're going to get 3 victory points. Lastly, if it goes all the way around, then if you caused the creeping effect, you will not draw any more cards. Whatever card you would have received just gets discarded. So there we go, we've lost this card, it's gone to somebody else. And that's my turn. So again, I think if I hadn't drawn up, let's just say I draw up again, and again I've got another thorn, so that would move across again. So that would come off, and they would have grabbed that thorn, maybe somebody would have pruned, and now I've got that. So now let's look at my actions. So I've got some cards here. What do I want to do? Well, maybe I want to get more of these cards out because I get some bonuses. So let's try praying and trying to take 2 more. And I've got more thorns, so I must play them straight away. So these are going to disappear off and they'll be pushed across. So they go over here. Again, someone, let's say they've already pruned my garden at this point. So with more players, you get more pruning. There's more chance more cards are coming out in the game, in which case you have more chance of maybe getting more of these workers. So I finished my turn. Oh, sorry, I still have an extra action. So let's take an extra prey action again. Take 2 more cards. 1, 2. Okay, so this must go here. But I can't play this because, again, you can only play it on an active turn, and an active turn is choosing to appoint. But I do take my final card. So here we go, I've got an extra card here. Then these reset. And now this time round, when it's my turn to appoint, I'm going to play out, let's say here, to appoint and get a monk, which gives me 2 fruit. So I get some victory points now. And now it's my next person's turn. And let's just take some 2 out here to show you here. And now let's say it's the end of turn, so I take an extra card. And now it's back to my turn again. I've got another point, so I can bring out another worker. So that can go there to a point. Let's place this out here. But let's say, do I have any fishes? I've actually got more than enough people currently, but again, I could be placing this in somebody else's garden. So that pretty much shows you how the games work. At the end of the game, you're going to count up how many victory points you've got here. However many of these you've managed to prune off somebody else's, you're going to keep this to one side, as you'll get 3 points. You'll also lose a point, or 3 points in this case, if they're in your garden at the end of the game. And lastly, any points on any cards you're also going to get. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments on YouTube at best. Apart from that, like I said, check through the description for updates regarding to this Kickstarter at the time of recording. Also, if you wish to, you can subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this, and please do like as well. And lastly, like I said, in terms of what I think of this game, in terms of thematics, this is a very strong, it's deliberate, very much a strong mechanisms in terms of a Christian game, and the mechanisms tie extremely strongly. This is probably the best Christian game I've played, because the mechanisms are very key to make sure that you're helping other people. That's a big part of this game. Like I said, you can be pruning someone's stuff, which, the classic altruism is, how selfish or selfless is it? Because you are choosing to prune someone's garden and goes, okay, I'm helping out here, but actually you're getting a bit more points. Some people might have that as a slight take that element, which I don't think is bad, because I don't mind take that in a small proportion. So there's a little bit of that. Like I said, that's what that kind of semi-selfless altruism is in there. Of course, these guys can give you more abilities. You have a bit of an engine build going on. So what the designer went for is this being a kind of a static row, but this is constantly moving. Obviously, you're getting these thorns, but they do move across. That's why you have the creep effect. But equally, you're giving this to someone else to then potentially score more points than you would do anyway. So everything you do, it kind of balances that kind of altruism in terms of what you want them to do in terms of pruning as well. So, very fun game in terms of who wins, what's the most fruit. After that, it's the most harvested or pruned thorns that you've accumulated from other people. Okay, so it could be accumulated from other people. Of course, it could be accumulated by yourself. And that is the crux of the game. Like I said, there are 8 different workers. This is one of the starting workers I recommend. And none of these gardeners actually comes with 3 doves. So that's a great bonus. The 2 starting characters, in particular, 2-player game, I think they're very basic. I think if you really want a good fun game, I recommend trying out those other characters. This is another one of the basic characters. Don't you plant a seed, you may plant 1 or 2 seeds. In this case, when you receive any thorns, you may discard them. So in this case, when I was drawing these cards, these wouldn't be here because of her ability. So when I was drawing them, I've got more than I would have because of her. So this actually, they would have gone. So it might look like it was negative. It's not necessarily a negative, but those would go as well. And equally, yes, you may discard them. So you could choose to leave them. If you think it's towards the end of the game, there's about 10 cards or so left, make sure then you're just choosing to discard them. Other characters, you may place up to 2 doves on each of your workers. Fantastic. Like I said, start the game with 3 doves, play 1 fruit instead of any time when you prune, those kind of stuff. So you need to make sure you're accumulating some fruit. That's something to be aware of. And yeah, I do love the artwork very much in this one. If I was to make a game, this is the kind of artist I'd like to use. And yeah, here we go. So here's the grower. So when you get those fruit out, you can place 2 yellow fruit on a seed of your garden that doesn't have any fruit on it. So over here right now, I can get myself 2 fruit on here. Of course, at the end of the game, I'm going to get that back. I then want to take that kind of action. I then want to be maybe going and play the Reaper, because this time I get to take a seed off. So you want to chain what you're doing, being aware that maybe you can't place them yet. So hold back in your hand, being aware of that 7-hand limit. And there we are. So lots of variation you can have in this game. Having enjoyed playing this and seeing this game, change shape. So thanks very much for watching. And for now, this is obviously back to the table for New Kingdom Gardeners.